to get it!
Tenno.
The Helminth is your very special, slimy friend who grants your Warframes impressive upgrades for a price. Getting to the point that you can even use the Helminth properly, though, is a major grind. A grind that I'll make considerably easier with this guide. Hey everyone, it's Spopes. Fully unlocking and upgrading your Helminth is one of the most important things you can do in Warframe. Doing so allows you to subsume other Warframes, install Archon Shards in your frames, and even access weekly power boosts. Getting your Helminth fully upgraded, though, is a considerably lengthy process, and a process that I have not seen fully and comprehensively explained in any other guides, either in videos or on web pages. So that's why I set out to make the most comprehensive Helminth guide to date. I'm not just going to tell you what the different segments are and how to get them. I'm going to tell you every material you need to farm to get the blueprints and to craft the actual segments. How to rank up in standing with the Cavia and the Entrati. How to get Namalon, Traveride, etc. So by the end of this guide, you should know literally everything you need to do to upgrade your Helminth, from its most basic state where you can only access it with Nidus, to the fully upgraded power machine it becomes at the end of the grind. Before we get into it, please take a moment to like, hype, and subscribe. We're going to start with the absolute basics, but keep in mind I have timestamps going to every section, so if you already know some of this, or you want to skip ahead to some particular information, just use the timestamps in the description. But first of all, it's worth covering what is the Helminth. Now, without getting too deeply into the lore, because there are major spoilers, let's just say the Helminth is Orokin technology that is directly tied to the origin of the Warframes, and it is also this section you have in your orbiter. So if you go from the main area of your orbiter with the arsenal and everything, down the steps to the left, you'll find this door. Now, back in the day when this door first appeared, it would not open unless you were using the frame Nidus or you had an active Helminth cyst. But when you did go inside, all you would see is this chair. It would say some kind of random creepy stuff to you, and that's about it. But as the game has evolved, the Helminth has evolved along with it. This weird mouth in the back now opens up. The chair does a variety of different things, and you can even give your Helminth a name. So in its most basic functionality, if you do have a Helminth cyst, you can go up to the chair and one of these little tendrils will come down and pop it like a zit. It's pretty gross, but everything to do with the Helminth is gross. Better just get used to it. So if you do have a cyst, it will remove it and ask you why you reject its beauty. Gets kind of grumpy with you, but it doesn't give you any trouble. And speaking of cysts, you get these either by running Nidus, who is the origin point of these cysts, or by interacting with another player who has a fully developed cyst. And then you can choose to pop it, but if you leave it for a week and have a Kubro egg in your inventory, you can actually infect that egg with your cyst, making it possible to create a Helminth Charger pet. There was a time the Helminth Charger was basically the most powerful pet, and that is long past now. But it is kind of cool to have an infested pet that comes from the Helminth chair. We also do have more infested pets now, but, you know, whatever. The Helminth Charger is cool, and that's how you get it, just in brief. But as I've mentioned, the Helminth has evolved a lot since then. And one of the primary ways it has evolved is in its ability to subsume Warframes, dissolving them into the Helminth itself, and making one of that frame's abilities available to add into the arsenal of a different Warframe. So what is Helminth Subsume? This is when you take a Warframe to the chair, absorb it into the Helminth, and then add one of its abilities to this collection here. The Helminth itself does also have some basic abilities that you gain as you level up its Metamorphosis rank. There's also one ability from each Warframe that you can subsume. You can go through this list to see which abilities are available. And overall, this is one of the best customization features DE has ever put in the game. It allows you to totally upend the normal functionality of your Warframe, augmenting it for better optimization with whichever build you're trying to run. So for instance, I put Banshee's Silence on my Zaku Prime here. More on that in an upcoming Zaku Prime build. But that's just one example of what you can do with the Warframe Subsume function. But now it's important to cover how you unlock this functionality in the first place. So first of all, you need to be at least Mastery Rank 8. So grind some frames, weapons, whatever it is, until you get to MR8 and you've taken its test. Then from there, you need to also have unlocked Mars by clearing the Mars Junction on Earth. This will allow you to access not only Mars, but also Deimos. And once you do unlock Mars and Deimos, you'll receive a mail message from Lloyd sending out a call for help. From there, simply complete the Heart of Deimos quest, which takes around 1 to 2 hours, to unlock the Necrolisk on Deimos, which is going to be central to this whole process. Once you've unlocked the Necrolisk, you will see if you go talk to Sun, that the Helminth segment blueprint is available once you get to rank 3, or Associate, with the Entrati family. That's the equivalent of a syndicate here on Deimos. And now here is where the real grind sets in. To get to rank 3, you will need a lot of standing. So I recommend doing the highest level bounties from Mother that you can handle. For instance, the Steel Path bounty gives a lot of Mother tokens. This will help you level up quite quickly, and these bounties are generally not very hard if you run them with a group. So once you have Mother tokens, you exchange them for Entrati standing with Grandmother. Mother tokens are by far the easiest to get. They will give you the most standing overall. Then once you have enough standing to rank up, go back to Mother and select Entrati standing. Ranking up to rank 1, or Stranger, requires 5,000 Entrati standing and 3 spinal core sections. These are required from processing fish with Daughter, and you should have enough of these from doing the intro quest, Heart of Deimos anyway. But if you do need more, go catch some fish, bring them to Daughter, and you'll get your spinal core sections. So getting to rank 1 is quite easy. Where things get a little more complicated is at rank 2. To get here, you need 22,000 Entrati standing, plus a Daughter token and a Father token. These are relatively easy to acquire, but you'll also need a Keratinos Blade blueprint, which you buy from Father. You acquire Daughter tokens from Exocrine assignments, which is where you just hand in fish parts and she gives you tokens. And with Father, it's parts requisition, which is where you just hand in Deimos materials and he gives you tokens. And then you can buy the Keratinos Blade blueprint at any rank, making this pretty easy to get. Yeah, I guess I kind of misspoke when I said that rank 2 is pretty hard. The hardest part is getting the standing, I guess, but otherwise it's easier than I remembered. To get to rank 3, though, you need 44,000 standing, a Sun token, a Mother token, 3 Sly Vulpaphyla tags, and 3 Vizier Predicite tags. As we've covered, Mother tokens are very easy to get from bounties. Sun tokens are a bit more complicated, though. For these, you need to acquire animal tags by capturing the wildlife on Deimos. So either in their normal or weakened state, you simply acquire the animals and you get tags. Plus, you can also buy various tags for platinum. This refreshes on a daily basis. So you can buy these tokens from Sun with platinum to complete his bounties if you really don't want to go get the animals. But it's the same thing you do in other open world zones. You just get your trank rifle out, you hunt down the animal, collect the tags, you're done. Both Sly Vulpaphylas and Vizier Predicites are the more common variants of those particular infested animals, whatever you want to call them, but they are only found during the fast cycle. That's when the light is orange outside on Deimos. So the worst you might have to do is wait for that cycle to come through again. And if you really don't want to wait, you can see if those particular tags are available from Sun, though you do have to spend platinum. Okay, but once you've done all that, you can rank up to rank 3 or Associate, which will allow you to buy the Helminth segment blueprint from Sun. This does cost 15,000 standing, and then once you have the blueprint, you of course do have to craft the segment itself. The requirements for crafting this segment include 50,000 credits, 5 purple Velocipod tags. Now these are the most common Velocipods on Deimos. They're available during both the fast and Voam cycles, but if you don't want to hunt these down, you can buy the tags from Sun for platinum if he happens to be stocking them that particular day. Or his inventory might actually refresh every 12 hours. I can't remember if it's every day or every 12 hours. But just do check in with Sun and see when his current inventory refreshes by checking the timer at the bottom of the screen. And if you don't want to hunt down the Velocipods, you might be able to buy them from him for platinum. Where things get complicated is the Adramal Alloy, which we'll get to in a moment, but I'm going to cover the other 2 things you need first. One of them is saturated muscle mass, which comes from fish. It also occasionally drops from breakable storage containers on Deimos, in the Cambion Drift specifically, but generally the best way to get saturated muscle mass is from catching fish. Ganglion drops from basically every monster. By the time you've done enough bounties to get to rank 3, you'll definitely have enough ganglion. But now for the Adramal Alloy. You get the blueprint for this from OTAC. It only costs 1,000 standing, and for most of these components, you should already have plenty of them. It only costs 1,000 credits to make this. You should probably have enough Adramalium. Just by doing bounties running on the Cambion Drift, you should have plenty of this without ever having to touch a mining laser. Same goes for plastids, which come from all sorts of missions, not just on Cambion Drift, and Lucent Terraglobe, which you'll get just by doing bounties in the Cambion Drift. Traveride, though, is what gave me a serious headache when I was getting this for myself. This is not available in the Cambion Drift at all, but rather in the Orb Vallis, the free roam area on Venus. And while it does apparently drop from containers, I've never found a single one that way. Instead, you'll need to go into caves, find the red ore veins, and use your basic cutter, the Nosum cutter, to purposely fail the ore mining minigame. You use this base cutter because it's more likely to give you common materials, and Traveride is a common material. And you fail the ore mining minigame by either not hitting the circles or by not doing them completely, because it gives you a higher chance of getting common materials. So don't use the upgraded cutter, use the Nosum cutter, and just kind of shoot it wildly at the red veins. And eventually you should get enough Traveride. But this point does seem insanely grindy to me, but it's just got to be done. Once you do have the segment, use craft into your foundry. You can either wait for it to craft, which if I remember correctly takes 24 hours, or you can rush it for platinum. At that point, you simply go install it in the Helminth, and you'll be ready to subsume a Warframe. So you are now ready to subsume your first Warframe. How does the process work? To unlock the subsume function, you need to get your Helminth to the first metamorphosis. And to do so, you feed the Helminth. The Helminth has 6 different categories of materials it needs. And when you feed it, you gain XP or affinity or whatever it is with the Helminth. All I know is this bar here goes up and it gets to this point and you get your thing. But so you need to give it various different items. Most of this is stuff you should have tons of anyway. And you can select by category by clicking on an icon over here on the right-hand side. So my Helminth does currently need biotics. I'll go ahead and feed it some ganglion. And that took it all the way up to 80%. And I got a little bit of XP there in the metamorphosis bar. So get the Helminth to level 1 from level 0, and then you can subsume Warframes. So just bring the Warframe over to the chair and select subsume. You only have 3 slots available at the beginning, but you'll get more as you level the Helminth up. Subsuming frames does also require these ingredients. You're going to need to feed your Helminth even more. But once it has enough of each of the material types it needs, you'll be able to subsume the frame, and one of its abilities will be available to put on other frames. Each Warframe only has one ability that can be subsumed, in this case Silence on Banshee. And when I say you'll be ready to put it on another frame, I don't mean immediately, unless of course you want to bring out Platinum as you always can and rush it. Otherwise, it takes 23 hours to subsume the frame and for its ability to become available. But yeah, that's the long and short of it for that section of the video. You now know how to get the original Helminth segment blueprints, how to craft it, and how to subsume a Warframe. But we've only just gotten started. There are 3 other segments you can add to your Helminth, and we're going to start with the only one out of those 3 I've actually gotten yet, the Archon Shard segment. Now, the blueprint for this segment is a lot easier to get than the last one. All you have to do is complete Veilbreaker, which is a short quest that comes after the New War. So just run through the New War, which takes like 6 hours and you can't do anything else. It is pretty cool, but it is like the lengthiest and craziest thing Warframe's ever done. So you have to do New War and all of its prerequisites, then Veilbreaker, then you'll simply get the blueprint in your inventory. To craft this blueprint though, you will again need a lot of different materials. First of all, you need 2 Entrati Lanthorns. These drop from either Zariman or Sanctum Anatomica missions. They're pretty abundant though, it shouldn't be hard to farm them. Then you'll also need Thrax Plasm, which comes from Thrax enemies that appear on Zariman missions. The next requirement, Sporulet Sacks, are also pretty easy to get. You just get these by bringing Glutinox fish from the Cambion Drift to Daughter, who then processes them. You should probably have enough of these already, but if not, just go catch some Glutinox and bring them to Daughter. But of course, just like with the other segment, there is kind of a poison pill in here too. You need 20 Namalon, which again, you get the blueprint for this from Otak on the Necrolisk. The other 3 ingredients are pretty easy. Rubedo, you should have tons of. Same with Lucent Terraglobe, you should have probably enough of that. If not, just pick some more up in the Cambion Drift. Pharos might be a little bit more difficult if you're newer to the game, but this comes from red mining veins in the plains of Eidolon. You also get it just through doing bounties. But yeah, Namalon is the tricky part. So you can get this from the yellow mining veins on the Cambion Drift, but there is an easier way to do it. As you fly around the Cambion Drift, you'll occasionally come across these locations called Requiem Obelisks. You basically just shoot this reactive crystal while you're in your operator form using your amp. The whole thing will go up in the air, and then you simply wait for the obelisk to apply its effect to enemies, and then shoot them. So the enemies are now appearing, the obelisk is shooting them, then I simply shoot them as my operator, and the obelisk will drop resources on the ground, including occasionally Namalon. There are various maps of where these are all located. I'm linking one of them in the description, but I found just going from obelisk to obelisk and completing them to be a much faster way of getting the Namalon you need for this last part of the recipe. I haven't confirmed this myself, but I do hear that Bohm and Jahu obelisks drop Namalon more frequently. Vom is signified by this symbol, and Jahu is signified by this symbol. So now you should be able to craft your Archon Shard Helminth section, and once you do, just go bring it over to the Helminth and install it, and you'll be able to add Archon Shards to your Warframe. Now, I did mean to cover this at the beginning of this section, but it's not too late to cover what Archon Shards are and why they're desirable. You get these from weekly Archon Hunt missions. You can slot up to 5 of them in your Warframe to provide bonuses. So for instance, the red ones, you get damage-related bonuses, the blue ones provide defense-related bonuses, and the yellow ones are for utility. And in just a moment, we'll get to how you can fuse those together to create green, purple, and orange shards as well. But yes, Archon Shards are very useful for powering up your frame, and the only way to use them is by installing this segment. All right, but now it's time to talk about the Archon Shard Coalescent segment for your Helminth, which I've not gotten yet, but you can use this segment to fine-tune your Warframe's power even more. So to get this segment, you need to complete Whispers in the Walls, which requires the new war as a prerequisite. Then you simply go to the Sanctum Anatomica and get to Cavia Rank 2 by talking to Fibonacci. As is also the case with the Entrati, you rank up with the Cavia by getting standing via bounties. Once you've gotten 5,000 standing, you can rank up to rank 1. This requires 3 Shrill Voca, 10k credits, 300 Entrati Obols, and 1.1k Rubedo. Rubedo is very plentiful, so are Entrati Obols. You'll get them as you complete Sanctum Anatomica missions. It's a pretty low amount of credits, but as far as the Shrill Voca go, you will find these occasionally as you do Sanctum Anatomica missions. You can also buy them here from Lloyd in exchange for other materials. His wares refresh every 8 hours, so if you have the available materials, you should go ahead and snag these. For instance, I'm going to grab a Shrill Voca now, so I'll have it for later. So yes, that's rank 1, but remember you do need to get to rank 2 to purchase this segment. And to get to rank 2, you need 5 Shrill Voca, 60 Void Gel Orbs, which you get from Zeraman missions, 12 Necrocoils, which you get from Sanctum Anatomica, also known as Albrecht's Laboratories missions, Stela, which also come from Albrecht's Laboratories, and some credits. The Shrill Voca are going to be the more difficult part here, but if you do enough missions, especially with squads, you guys can work together to find these, or you can purchase them from Lloyd. At that point, you'll be at rank 2, and you'll be able to buy the Coalescent blueprint from Bird 3. The blueprint costs 30,000 standing, and then to craft it, you need 50,000 credits, 50 Stela, 3 Echo Voca. That's a different type of Voca you can also get from Lloyd, or during Sanctum Anatomica missions, 5 Entrati Lanthorns, and 25 Necrocoils. We've already covered how to get both of those. And you can also occasionally get them from Fibonacci's rank 5 bounties. But yes, once you do have all those materials, you can craft the Helminth Coalescent segment and fuse your Archon Shards to make new ones in new colors. So for instance, you can combine a yellow and a red Archon Shard to make an orange one, which offers buffs based on blast damage, heat damage, and radiation status. You can combine a red and a blue shard for a purple shard, which provides electricity buffs. Or you can combine a yellow and a blue shard for a green shard, which offers toxin and corrosive buffs. So yet another way you can boost your power in Warframe. This has not been such a priority for me because with the build I'm putting together right now, I'm going to be doing pure crimson or red shards, but I will want to get this eventually and add it to my Helminth. Now there's one last Helminth section to discuss, the Helminth Invigoration segment. This allows you to access Invigorations, which are weekly boosts to 3 random Warframes that can considerably increase the power of those chosen frames. Potential buffs include plus 200% to ability strength, plus 100 to health, etc. It is just 3 random different frames each week. You can't predict it or control it. But if your favorite Warframe is up for an Invigoration this particular week, you'll definitely want to take advantage of it with the Helminth Invigoration segment. So how do you get it? While it's very useful, this segment will require the most amount of grinding out of all 4 we've covered. You have to be at rank 5 with the Entrati, or at family rank, to buy this blueprint from Sun. Assumedly, you're already at rank 3, which you needed to be to get the original Helminth segment. But to get to rank 4, you need 1 Father token, 1 Son token, an Arioli mutagen blueprint, and a Zara mutagen blueprint. Thankfully, you don't actually have to craft these, you just need the blueprints, which are available from Sun for 4,000 standing each. But then you also have to get from rank 4 to rank 5. And I should mention that getting to rank 4, you do need 70,000 standing with the Entrati as well. But then for rank 5, you need 99,000 standing, along with a Mother token, a Father token, and a Seraglass Shard. These you buy from Grandmother for 10 Grandmother tokens. You can get Grandmother tokens by trading in tokens from other members of the family. So for instance, I can turn in 20 Mother tokens to get 1 Grandmother token. You can only do one of these bounties, or whatever you want to call them, at a time, but they do refresh relatively frequently. And yes, then when you do have 10 Grandmother tokens, you can get a Seraglass Shard. Then you combine that with a Mother token and a Father token and 99,000 standing to get to rank 5. And then once you're at rank 5, you can get the blueprint for the Invigoration section. And to craft it, you'll need 50k credits, 5 Vizier Predicite tags. Again, Vizier Predicites are the most common. They're around during the fast cycle. Getting that many tags should not be hard, especially because you can occasionally buy them from Sun for platinum. And then as we're used to by now, we do have a poison pill here. But before we get to the tempered Baphilite, we'll cover Pustulant Cognitive Nodules, which are pretty easy to get. You just get them from any Deimos fish. You bring them to Daughter. She cuts them up. You get your nodules. Pustulate is a very common drop from Deimos enemies. You should also have plenty of those at this point. But when it comes to the Baphilite, this requires Baphilate, which you get from mining on Deimos, or from the Requiem Obelisk we covered earlier. It also requires Nanospores, which you have tons of. I have over 1 million Nanospores. That's kind of crazy. Also, Lucent Terraglobes, which are also relatively common from the Cambion Drift. But then also Pyrol, which is mined from the plains of Eidolon. You can also get this from doing bounties and other just basic activities in the plains of Eidolon. Plus, it does drop from Thumpers. But when in doubt, just hit those red mining veins, and you should eventually have 20 Pyrol. With Pyrol, you should also use the base Nosum Cutter and purposely fail the minigame, because it is a common resource. You'll get more of it by doing mining wrong on purpose. But once you have your Invigoration segment crafted, just bring it over to the Helminth and install it, and you'll be able to invigorate your Warframes once per week. And that's going to cover it. We covered how to get all 4 Helminth segments, what they each do, how to get their blueprints, how to craft them. So if you just follow those tips, you should have your Helminth completely upgraded and be ready to take advantage of the entirety of its endgame boosting powers. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about anything I did not explain clearly, please leave it in the comments, along with any feedback on the video. Well, let us know what the most difficult part of the Helminth grind was for you, and if this video helped. And before you go, please take a moment to like, hype, and subscribe. And if you want to support the work I'm doing here even further, become a member of the Spopes Army, check out my merch, or leave a donation. I am so grateful to all of you for watching, but as a Christian man, I'm even more grateful to God. So I'm going to finish with the video as always with a prayer to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Lord, thank you for Warframe and its ever-evolving complexity. Thank you for inspiring the developers at DE to make Warframe such a deep game. And Lord, please do bless the Warframe community, bless everyone watching this video, and bless my channel with your providence for further growth. Lord Christ, I give you all glory for this video and for my channel. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Again, thank you so much for watching the video. I really do hope it helped. If it did help, please don't forget to like, hype, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, turn on notifications, because I'll be back soon with new content.